Oh, good to see you guys here tonight. Thank you for weathering the weather outside to be here tonight. Give yourselves a hand for that. What was it? 2 weeks ago, it was almost 70. Oklahoma is the only place where even the weather is bipolar. Good to have you guys here. You are here on a great night. I've been hanging out with the comedians all weekend. We have T-Rexx here. Give him a big hand. Jake Baker, give him a big hand. Everybody got a drink in front of them? Everybody got a drink in them? All right, we're going to have a great show. I am C.R. Parsons. I am your host and MC for this evening, and it is good to see you guys here. I always like, as an MC, to kind of gauge my audience to see what kind of audience we're dealing with on any given night. So I like to use a little test joke. Is it okay if I do that? Okay, great. Here it is. My wife tells me I wake up on the wrong side of the bed all the time. So I guess I sleep on a Mobius strip. Okay, we have one mathematician in the room, but it's back to dick and fart jokes. I got it. We're okay. We're okay. We can do that. We can do that. I don't know about you guys, but I am looking forward to Mardi Gras. I'm going to New Orleans this year for Mardi Gras. I love New Orleans. I love any town where a nickel's worth of beads will get you closer to second base than dinner and a movie will around here. But I made a mistake last time I went to New Orleans. I went with my wife and my mother. Never do that. There's nothing worse than walking with your mother down Bourbon Street, showing off her boobs by lifting up her skirt. I didn't even know the woman owned tassel loafers. I'm headed to New Orleans, but I just got back from Jamaica. Beautiful island. If you get a chance to go there, I highly recommend it. I only had one problem with the island of Jamaica, though. Everybody there tried to sell me weed. Now I want to know, what is it looking at me that makes them think I would be out of weed? I don't know about you guys, but I can plan ahead. And I keep getting asked if I think weed ought to be legalized here like it is out in Colorado. I don't know that I should get a vote. I do stand-up comedy. Can you imagine if this place had a 2-bowl minimum instead of a 2-drink minimum? I'd never have to write another joke. Just stand up here and throw M&Ms and goldfish. You guys would laugh at yourselves. Oh, my goodness. I know that's very stereotypical to talk about Jamaicans and weed, but I believe in stereotypes. And every time I say that, it gets me in trouble. Somebody goes, I know so-and-so who doesn't fit that stereotype. Of course you do. If you didn't, it wouldn't be called a stereotype. It would be called a fact. I mean, I'm sure somewhere there's an Asian woman who can drive and did not graduate in the top of her class. I'm sure somewhere there's a black man who can swim and understands hockey. I'm sure somewhere there's a Mexican who lives by himself and never carpools. And before you guys start thinking I'm a racist, it's not just racist stereotypes. I'm sure somewhere there's a Canadian who's rude. And a Frenchman who's not. I'm sure somewhere there's a plumber who owns a belt and knows how to use it. I'm sure somewhere in Arkansas there's somebody with a full set of teeth who doesn't think the tornado sounded like a damn train. I'm sure somewhere there's a police officer who prefers tea and salad. Just like I'm sure somewhere there's a priest who prefers altar girls. Okay, maybe I was a little off on that last one. There's probably not one of those. Oh, I can tell I'm getting older. I turned 42 recently. 42 is a horrible age when you're a guy, because you can no longer date girls half your age. Now they can buy their own beer. And I realized just how old 42 was when I enrolled my son in college. College has changed since I was a kid. I was flipping through his catalog, saw a seminar called G-Spot and the Female Orgasm. They did not have that class when I was in school. If they had it would have been under the mythology department. And I met one of the girls that lives down the hall from him. He lives in a co-ed dorm. They didn't have those when I was a kid either. Guys and girls all living together. She's a sweet girl, a lesbian, but she's also deaf. Can't hear a thing, but she can read lips like nobody's business. I know, that's a bit of a sick joke. Oh, my goodness. Speaking of sick jokes, you know, there are things they do not tell you about getting older when you're a guy. Ladies, you are warned from an early age that gravity is not your friend. These become these. They don't tell you the same thing happens to us guys, only it's a little further south. Nobody warned me one of these days I was going to have to wear board shorts to keep from freeballing. Now that's a visual image nobody needs. Ding, dong, ding. Aren't you glad you sat on the front row? And in case you're wondering, no, the carpet does not match the drapes. It's all hardwood down there. I can't believe I said that. Oh, my goodness. One of the things about getting older is now when my buddies and I get together, we have a tendency to talk about our ailments. We did not do that at 20, but we do at 40. One of my buddies was diagnosed with penile cancer not too long ago. It's okay. He beat it. I have to tell you guys, I am not a typical comedian. I am actually a right-wing conservative comedian, which I know sounds a bit like an oxymoron, but it's not. An oxymoron would be more like an agnostic KKK member. What are they going to do, burn a question mark on your front lawn? And I don't understand agnostics. I get atheists. I don't understand agnostics. I used to date a girl who was an atheist, or at least she claimed to be. I don't believe her because every time I asked her for a blowjob, she told me to go to hell. I'm like, dear, you don't believe in that either. Her brother, on the other hand, was an avid atheist. I saw him hit his thumb with a hammer one time. He said, Charles Darwin, that hurt. How many Okies do we have here? Really? How many Texans do we have here? See, usually that gets a bigger response. I am not from Oklahoma originally, but I've been here long enough I can say this is a weird-ass state. It is the only state I know where you have the 10 Commandments on the outside of the courthouse and a judge with a penis pump on the inside. It's the only state I know where you cannot buy wine at the grocery store, but you can buy meth at any high school. And I'm not going to say Oklahoma has too many people cooking meth, but we are the only state with meth chefs. Now, there's a show that would be fun on the Food Network. Today on Meth Chef, we have guest chef Bubba from Wagner. Okay, y'all, what you do is you take this big old bag of Sudafed, and I always use Sudafed, never that generic wall-you-fed stuff. You grind it up. I like to use the coffee grinder. Doesn't do a thing for the meth, but it does wonders for the coffee. Add a little splash of Drano, shake it up, next thing you know, bam, you got meth. Actually, if you get to bam, you probably shook it a little too long. And that whole shake and bake method of making meth, I don't think that was intentional. I think somebody just put all the ingredients together, handed it to a tweaker, and said, here, hold this. I am a married gentleman. My wife is a school teacher. When we first met, she was teaching 4-year-olds, so I appeared mature. Now she teaches special needs, so I appear normal. We have cute little nicknames for each other. She calls me the big guy. I call her Karma. I give her a break, though, because she thinks I'm the world's greatest lover. But what does she know? She used to work at Sonic. You push the little red button, she comes. I made a mistake the other day. I let her drive us to Walmart. Should have never done that. She backed into a car. It was a piece of crap 82 Toyota beat up thing, but it left me in a quandary. Do I leave a note or not leave a note? I'm an attorney. I felt I needed to leave a note. So I wrote down a note. I said, if you can find the new dent, you should have no trouble finding us. I mentioned that I'm an attorney. I actually am an attorney for a living. I hear doubt. The long hair, the tattoos always throws people off, but that's because I'm also a dyed-in-the-wool Harley-Davidson rider. Which means whether I'm at the golf course or the biker bar, I know I may have to kick my own ass out. I don't want my type around there. But I come by this confusion naturally. I come from a screwed up household. Here's how screwed up. My mother was college educated, had a master's degree. My father was a redneck. We were the only trailer in the park with a lending library. We learned how to pair our wine with our ramen noodles. Little tip, Boone's Farm goes with all the flavors. And I practice criminal law. I used to say I was a criminal attorney, then I realized that was redundant. But I'm often asked if I do interesting cases, and I do. I'm representing a guy right now who was arrested. He's considered to be a serial rapist. He won't tell me how he gets his penis in those little bitty Cheerios, though. I know, that's awful. One of the things about being married that I never knew was once I got married, I was never again going to be able to find anything in my house. And my wife says it's because it takes estrogen to locate stuff. I call bullshit. I say I could find things if the people with estrogen would quit moving it. Things should have a proper place, and they don't at my house. Tupperware should be in the cabinet. No, it's in the stove because she never bakes. Pots and pans should be by the stove. No, they're all the way on the other side of the room in the pantry. Vinegar should be in the pantry. No, it's in the bathroom, and I have no clue why. Okay, ladies, explain that joke to the guy sitting next to you. I know, that's sick. But I'm a sick man. I've had 3 strokes in my life, and I have the worst timing when it comes to strokes. If you have not had a stroke, I don't recommend those. Half of your body just quits working. I had my first stroke while riding my Harley. I was screwed. I was more screwed than an emo girl in high school. I was more screwed than a tube sock at Comic-Con. I mean, I was screwed, but I don't know if you have ever tried to ghost ride a motorcycle, but it is not easy. But that's not the worst. The worst was my second stroke. I had my second stroke while having sex with my wife. You know, they say if you think somebody's having a stroke, have them stick out their tongue. If they are, it'll turn to one side. Same thing happens with Mr. Happy. It was like, who am I kidding? I'm a white man. It was more like, eep. I looked down at my wife, I went, babe, I can't get off. She looked up at me and she said, neither can I with you making faces. That's my time. I'm C.R. Parsons. Thank you guys very much.